right, guys, this is Krazy Kev here, and I'm here with my man Cole Barnard. Cole, how we doing, my man?
Doing good, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, no worries at all. And Cole, man, it's been a little bit since we've seen you in the cage. I mean, talk to us a little bit more about your last fight that you just had, and what's maybe next for you here.
So, that was in June. It was a tough one. It got overturned to a no contest. So I'm looking to get back in March. We're working with CFFC this time. So super excited to make my debut. We're working on opponents right now, but March 27th is the date.
Nice. No, that would definitely be a good card. I believe that one's in Atlantic City, so it'll be awesome
Yep.
to see you competing in CFFC. And now, with that being said, I mean, talk to us a little bit more about what that kind of means to you to compete on such a big organization early in your career.
I'm so excited. I've been talking with Rob, obviously a lot of the guys at Marquez work with CFFC. It's just the top of the regional promotions, and it's also worldwide. It's on UFC Fight Pass. So that step up is really important to me, the professionalism. My father and I, who's also my coach, actually went to the Hard Rock. What was that last card? Um, like a month back. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that the scene was just insane. Like the arena, the crowd, the production. It was just so exciting to know that that's coming up in the future for me. So I'm just super pumped.
Yeah, no, you definitely should be, man. CFFC is definitely a good organization. Definitely glad to hear that's going to be your next steps. And
Yeah.
yeah, man. With that being said, I mean, talk a bit more about what you kind of been doing in the gym to kind of improve since the last fight.
I've been doing a lot. My diet is super important. Just staying on top of myself in that regard. Working my footwork, head movement, just a higher pace. My style is very high pace. I'm super aggressive. I come forward a lot, but my footwork needed some work, my head movement. So I've been training a lot in that regard. My wrestling, jujitsu. So I'd say those aspects are probably the things that I've been focusing the most on. Just my output with my footwork, staying busy, explosive angles, working my takedown defense, takedown offense as well. I've started to improve a lot in that regard as far as being the aggressor in my takedowns. Those are probably the main things that I've been working on. And, my gym at home, Secret Weapon, and Marquez has been instrumental in that. Marquez is so big on the footwork and that pocket range, knowing when to be in or out of that range. So just really focusing on that, staying protected, but staying active, and applying that to my aggressive style has been really helpful. So this next version of me, my next fight, you're going to really see that. A lot of angles, a lot of explosivity, a lot of aggression, which is just how I like to fight anyway. But those main things are what I've been working on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely awesome that you have a good game plan and everything's been going to plan. And now, when it comes to your career right now, I mean, what are maybe some of your goals that you might have? And how quickly do you think we can maybe see you maybe jump to the next level, like a PFL or UFC or something along those lines?
My goal for this year is to get at least 3 fights. So I want to get one every quarter. So if I'm doing March, maybe June or July, and then one like October, November, at least 3, and just keep that momentum going. It's easier said than done. Everybody wants to keep momentum going. I've had a lot of pullouts. I've had a couple injuries myself, but the main thing was just getting opponents to stick. So that's another thing that I'm excited with in regards to the CFFC. The talent pool is a lot more expansive. Um, People from all over the country come out to fight for CFFC. So it's not super limited. There's a lot more guys being sent my way. So I'm more confident that the fights are going to stick and the reliability of the opponents went up, for this promotion. So that's the main goal, multiple fights this year and to just continue the momentum.
Yeah, and now when it comes to CFFC, like you mentioned, it's a very good promotion. They have a lot of good talent. Do you think, after your fight, do you think you're going to be able to continue to stay with CFFC? Like, like for now on, you're just going to be fighting for them?
Yeah, I'm actually in a multi-fight deal with CFFC. So I'm going to do 4 fights CFFC and then just see where I'm at. But I thought that was a great option for me, considering I've had so many problems with just bouncing around different promotions, last minute stuff. This is like a solid ground, it feels like that I can really work towards building myself in one promotion. So I'm excited for that, and I feel more secure in that regard, where it's like, all right, I'm with this great promotion. They're working to get me fights. I know the people that I'm working with as well, and it's just like, a little bit comforting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely comforting, and that's definitely good to hear that you were able to secure a multi-fight deal. Congratulations to you, man. And
Thank you, bro.
yeah, man, no problem. And now, at the end of 2024, you had a kickboxing fight, but you mentioned that you were struggling to have opponents. Was that maybe why you had that kickboxing fight, or are you just looking to test your striking?
No, dude, that was a 24-hour notice fight. So I went to the weigh-ins. I was fighting this guy. He was 2-0. It was going to be a good fight, MMA, and it was a catch weight as well. So like, I want to fight at 170. It was 182, I believe. This dude was a 185er. So we met more on his side of the playing field. I didn't really have to cut much weight. I was chilling. But I showed up to the weigh-in, and I see the matchmakers like pacing, and I'm like, oh, dude, something's wrong. So he talks to my dad and tells me that he had an accident cutting weight. Like he fell. Wait a couple hours, he shows up in a sling, and the doctors immediately were like, no, he's not fighting. I was super bummed, ready to go home, no money. Everybody was going to have to get their tickets refunded. And so obviously the matchmaker doesn't want that to happen either. He's like, damn, I need that show. I was the main event. So he hit up some dudes from Florida, and this guy, he did a couple bare knuckle fights. But this was also his kickboxing debut. He agreed, flew out. He was already on weight. And so I was like, all right, I was tentative at first because I was like, this is so random. I don't even know this dude. But then I watched him fight. I was like, you know what, man, I'm in shape. I'm not going to go home empty-handed. So 24 hours, kickboxing debut. That's how it happened.
Wow, that's a cool story, man. That's definitely pretty cool, and yeah, that's crazy that stuff like that happens. But yeah, good for you to take that fight and pull it out. Definitely awesome there. And now, when it comes to your MMA career, man, I mean, talk us a little bit more about maybe some of your first days on the mats and how you kind of got started with everything as well.
Oh, that's a fun story. I mean, like when I was training Taekwondo my whole life, so I started at 5. I was born on Long Island, moved to upstate New York. I was 5. I pretty much got put into Taekwondo right away. My parents put me in there and trained consistently. I never took a break. I got my black belt, 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo. But eventually, the sparring, I was killing guys. You know what I mean? They didn't really have that, they weren't adamant about it. They weren't passionate about like the fighting aspect. It was more they wanted to break boards. They wanted to do the forms, which was cool too. But I was just always in love with the fighting. That's what I liked about the traditional martial arts, fighting people. And so since a young kid as well, my dad and I would watch UFC. So that was always in the back of my mind when I was doing Taekwondo. And eventually I told him I wanted to transition to that realm. I didn't want to do Taekwondo anymore. And so I was 17. I started really training MMA, getting my feet wet with jiu-jitsu around 20. And then took my first amateur fight at 21, I believe I was, or about to be 21. And before that, I started training at Marquez. So I went to Henzo's in Brooklyn, was training with Tarzan, Ariel Sexton there. He's the man. So he really showed me like the first that there's levels to this, you know what I mean? Because even at my gym at home, transition from Taekwondo, I was still kicking people on the head all the time. I thought I was the man. Then I go to Brooklyn, and Tarzan's like taking me down and destroying me. I'm like, I suck. I'm like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. So it was super humbling to be exposed to a different level of talent. Um, Kept going there. I think it was every Friday we'd do MMA. So we'd come up like an hour and a half, do the session, go back home. One of the days, Daniel Gracie was there, and he was like, "You got to come to Philly," and we did. It was a Wednesday. It was like, so it was Friday. That upcoming Wednesday, we went to Philly, and it was not at the gym they're at now. It was this spot on North American Street. We walk in, and it's like, a little bit sketchy. There's this steel staircase that leads into this basement, and my first exposure to Marquez MMA was walking down there. There is a makeshift ring made out of caution tape. All right, so there's caution tape ring, and there's these two big ass dudes sparring, but they're fighting. And I look at my dad, I'm like, is this the sparring day? Is this like a one-on-one? And everybody else was just watching. And I was like, oh man, I'm starting to like freak out. And then the session between those two guys ended. They were prepping for a fight. They took the caution tape down, and the room filled up. Everybody started sparring. But still, my first day, I went with Itzo Babalaitsi and Jeremiah Wells because they're both welterweights. I was at the time walking around at 172. I thought I was like a good welterweight. I wanted to be a 170 pounder. These guys were like 195. So they put me with them, and I got hit so hard by Itzo, I had deja vu. I was like, oh, I've been here before. But that was my first day at Marquez. I got my ass handed to me, and it was awesome. Like, my dad and I got lunch after and talked about it, like how gritty it was, how good these guys are. And we came back every Wednesday, and eventually took my first amateur fight, won that, and went on from there. So that was my first real MMA exposure. Like my first days on the mat, going from thinking I was the man because I was a Taekwondo black belt to realizing, no, I'm going to get taken down and beat up. There's guys way bigger than me, stronger than me. I need to gain weight. There was a lot of things that started clicking that didn't before, just from being exposed to better talent than I was. And so years later, like 5 years later, I'm still going to Marquez and still training with those same guys. But now I'm like 192. I gained muscle. I'm like, I've worked on my ground game, worked on my striking, and just got better. So that's really how it happened.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an incredible story. I can only imagine sparring Jeremiah Wells on your first day
It
because
was not fun, bro. It was not fun.
yeah, I've seen him a couple times at CFFC. I'm scared to say hi to that guy. I'm sure he's super nice, but like I've seen him in the
Dude,
cage, and I'm like, dude, I see him yelling.
he is so nice, but he's a great fighter. He's a great fighter, and I was not ready for that, but it was good.
Yeah, no, he's definitely the man. And yeah, like I said, that's definitely a funny story. And yeah, definitely pretty cool as well. And now another thing about me, I'm not sure if you knew this, but I'm actually a Taekwondo instructor myself. So hearing that story was pretty cool to me.
Yeah.
And now with you saying you had a Taekwondo background, I mean, did you ever compete in forms or anything like that?
Yeah, all the time. We'd go travel to tournaments. I do the pumse. I do the breaking. We do the sparring. I would do all of that. And that was really fun. So I went to tournaments from probably 7 years old up until like maybe 11 or 12. I stopped around then. But I was doing that for a while. Yeah, we'd go to Pittsburgh, and we traveled to the different tournaments, and point style fighting. So that was cool. That was like we'd get hotels, my dad and I experienced that side of it too. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I'm definitely glad you were able to experience that as well. And now another thing I want to ask you about, I mean, talking a little bit more about your teammates. I mean, there's been two big fights with Marquez. I mean, we got Bushido, obviously, he's going to be main eventing CFFC February. And then we also have Joe Pyfer, of course, getting that huge fight with Israel Adesanya. I'm just curious what your predictions were for these fights. And definitely what was your reaction hearing Joe Pyfer getting that fight as well?
Predictions. Joe's going to win and Bushido's going to win. I think Probably both of them will be finish. I'm gonna say both of them by knockout. Probably. That's my prediction, just off rip. But my first reaction seeing the Joe Pyfer fight announcement, I was actually training at my school in New York, and one of the dudes that I trained with was watching the Dana White's live, and he came. I was like getting changed, and he came running, and he's like, "Cole, Joe's fighting Izzy." I was like, "Shut up!" And I saw like the poster and everything. I was like, "Dude, that is so freaking cool." Um, I think Izzy's awesome. Like I was watching him for a while, and now to see somebody that I train with is fighting him, it's so cool. But there's been multiple fights like that. Even when Sean Brady fought Kelvin Gastelum, to me that was another one of those things where it was like, you watch a guy for so long, then somebody is fighting them. It's like pretty surreal. I asked Joe if it was surreal to him. He was like, "Nah, man, I'm ready." I was like, "Word, cool." But yeah. But super awesome, super happy for him. I know he'll get it done. I think both of them by KO.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a good prediction, and I also wouldn't even be surprised if Joe Pyfer gets a submission. I guess both of them technically
Yeah,
as well too. I mean, they're definitely
totally.
out on the ground as well. And
Yep.
yeah, man. I mean, we've been talking a little bit about your career with fighting and everything, but I mean, talk a little bit more about what you kind of like to do outside the cage when you're not in there training and fighting.
I love to cook. I love to go to the movies. I'm a huge movie guy. I try to see like all the big movies that come out. Mars Supreme, fire. That was a recent one that I saw with my girl. I like to play video games. Big horror video game fan and RPG fan. So like Skyrim, Fallout, that's my jam. Those types of games. I like to read. I've been really into history, watching documentaries recently, and stuff like that. Big media person, like I like to watch movies and stay up to date on that stuff. But besides that, I'm really just in the gym. Like even when I'm not training for a fight, I really enjoy going to the gym and lifting, and going on runs around my town. I have a really good running route. Um, Going out getting food. I'm more of like a chill, go to the movies and get some food rather than go out to a bar. I don't do anything like that. I like to snowboard. I don't get to do it that often, but a couple times a season I'll go snowboarding. I'm pretty nice. It's no big deal. But that's pretty much the main things. Big video game guy though, man. I love video games.
That's awesome. No, I'm definitely glad you're able to play a little bit of games and also
Oh yeah.
do your thing as well with training. And now one more thing I want to ask you about as well too would just be for someone that's looking to get into MMA. I mean, what advice would you maybe give them to kind of get their career kickstarted and kind of have a career similar to yours?
That's a tough one. I'd probably say just start. You know, that's probably the best thing that I could say. Just start. There's no one path that people take. You got to find the gym that's right for you, the coach that's right, um, and just get it started. You got to be consistent, and it takes a lot. You're gonna learn the hard way most things. So, I could sit down somebody that wants to get into MMA and talk to them for an hour about all of the minuscule details that go into it, the diet, what you have to eat, you have to sleep right, but you're going to find that out. So I'd say just start. You have to start with the training, and then you're going to realize, oh dude, my body feels like crap. Yeah, there's another aspect. You got to recover. So there's so much that goes into it. The best thing I'd say is just get it rolling. Start training, train every day. Make sure you take like a rest day a week, recover your body, and you're going to get better. And then if you want to fight, you'll be ready eventually when your coaches think so. And then, you start honing in on the details of your diet, of your sleep schedule. You can't go out partying. You can't do this or that. There's going to be a lot of sacrifices. So just start, be ready to sacrifice, and be ready to work hard. That's
Yeah.
really it. There's a lot that goes into it, but that's the simple version.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good message, and I definitely think that makes a lot of sense for sure. And now another thing you brought up as well, you said that you were like around like 172 when you first started in the gym, and now you put on about like 20 more pounds. I mean, how long did it kind of take for you to put on that weight? And I mean, was that mainly from like lifting? I mean, talk us a bit more about that.
Yeah. So I was actually vegan when I first started MMA. So that was a big reason that I was super light. It was like my whole personality, bro. I was insufferable. So I started lifting a lot more. I really dialed in my lifting regimen. Started eating meat again after my first amateur fight. So that's when I started to gain the weight. Before my second amateur fight, I was already like 180 walking around. So I started gaining pretty fast after I started eating chicken and stuff. I'd say but then I was like 190 and I could pinch my stomach. You know what I mean? I had a lot of extra fat. So then I learned it's not all just about being 190 and cutting. You got to be like a good 190. So then I realized, I was going out and like having a donut during fight camp, when I was an amateur and like just on the regular, I'd go out, have a coffee and there's freaking lavender syrup or some crap in it. You know what I mean? Like just garbage that I didn't need. So it took me a while, honestly, to gain that clean weight. So first it was almost like a dirty bulk where I was strong. You could see the definition, but I had a belly, like extra fat. So I'd say time wise, maybe like 2 years or like maybe a little bit more for it to be like 190 clean where I was ripped, like 9% body fat, super in shape, dialed in on the diet. So that was, I went through phases. I was like vegan, little shrimp, 170, trying to fight at 170. And then 190, eating donuts and cookies because I just thought I needed to be 190. And then I cut it all out, probably lost a little bit, gained it back clean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely pretty cool that we were able to hear that, and that definitely makes a lot of sense for sure. And definitely glad everything's been working out for you. And Cole, it's been awesome talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time, my man. What's maybe your final message out there to the fans watching this video?
Tune in March 27th, baby. Let's get it done.
Yes, sir. No, we'll definitely be tuning in March 27th. I'm looking forward to seeing you compete with CFFC, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time, my man.
Thank you, Kevin. You're the man, bro. I appreciate it.